Today I want to put a spotlight onto relatively unknown in the English-speaking community matchmaking abuse in Dota 2 and a couple of relevant consequences for the overall state of the game. Alright, so let's start with the fact that all Steam accounts are linked to their respective PCs. In other words, Steam is able to identify a specific user just by the hardware they use. And I want to highlight that this link is really strong. Valve uses this link as a primary way to identify a good player before such a player even queues for his first game on his brand new Steam account. This system is able to detect Smurf accounts early on and place them higher in the MMR hierarchy before they stomp a bunch of games in low brackets. Good system. So the current MMR abuse is a logical extension of this mechanic. A high MMR player on his machine creates an account, plays literally one single game on it just so that account gets linked to his hardware, which is already linked to his high MMR profile. The issue is that the link is pretty much permanent, which means even when that account is handed over to a completely different person, the system will continue to think that it's the original high MMR profile player just on a new computer or something along those lines. And this link, again, is so strong as showcased in these videos, a presumed buyer will maintain his high MMR bracket even with 20% win rate. Needless to say, completely compromising high MMR matches. Moreover, because of this link, after the required 100 hours of pre-ranked play, that account will eventually be calibrated at something like 5 and up to 6k MMR. Again, with 20% win rate. The more the better, of course, because while the hardware link is strong, other factors like the basic in-game performance numbers still matter. Bonus tip, weirdly enough, for some reason it is possible to activate recalibration before an account is actually calibrated. This allows a good player to essentially calibrate an account twice and break through the soft calibration ceiling, calibrating that account at 7 and even at 8k MMR, and, well, then sell it to a person who has no business playing at these MMR brackets because people don't understand what matchmaking is for to begin with. Alright, so the next thing that is currently happening is the ballooning of the MMR. This is another logical extension of MMR basically getting printed out of thin air. I personally outlined this idea 4 years ago in one of my videos titled MMR Production, which I would recommend you to watch if you want to know a bit more. Anyhow, because of this continuous influx of high MMR accounts, the sheer volume of MMR points in the system have increased tremendously over the years. And the proof is the amount of 10k MMR players on the leaderboard, which was not possible a few years ago. It doesn't take a genius to understand how this inflation gradually discredits the entire legitimacy of the whole system and leads to its eventual collapse, especially in the context of the current booster buyer Smurf web of tarantula that has permeated the system and currently holds it hostage as we await for Valve to take action. It's been a long wait though. Breaking news, just look at what my friend linked to me as I was working on the video. An actual job application for the boosters to apply here in Russia. To be fair, this one explicitly says that the Dota 2 department is in development, so here's that. Anyhow, watch the MMR production video if you want to hear my personal thoughts on the whole booster buyer Smurf web. I'm not going to discuss it any further in this one. So another logical extension of all this is the impact on a brand new to the game player. This one is especially important in the light of the up-and-coming Netflix series that is essentially an expansion, or rather an introduction, to the Dota 2 universe lore, which also serves as a really high-value advertisement that is expected to pull a lot of newcomers into the game. And Dota 2 is a fantastic competitive game with infinite depth and complexity, that is true. In other words, it takes years and years of practice and experience to climb the ladder to the point where there's even a slightest opportunity to get noticed by high MMR players. Well, this is typically never a problem by itself and is actually a hallmark of a great game. But as you can probably guess, because the pub matchmaking has been gradually deteriorating into a barely traversable swamp, it'll be a really slow climb through such a minefield of boosters, buyers, and Smurfs. If there will be one, because who wants to spend his or her time on games that are practically decided by how many boosters, buyers, and Smurfs are on each side. And here's the real kicker. Because of this constant inflation, by the time a new and potentially great player somehow climbs to the heights of the glorious 10k MMR, the top player will be already at 15. It's already like 12 today. Which reminds me how the speed of light can't keep up with the expansion of the universe, which I find particularly hilarious. So, Valve got $160 million from the Dota 2 community just from a single battle pass this summer. To call this silent acquiescence by Valve a culpable negligence would be an understatement of the year. To let the situation depreciate to such a state of affairs is a seriously remarkable oversight, and I would say the biggest.